So Giannis, who's at 32, 12, and 5 this year, but somehow having statistically like his least efficient year since the mid 2010s. Of all the jaw dropping Giannis stuff, 13.2 free throw attempts a game. It's a little robust. It's a lot of
free throws.
13 per game. You're just like, I'm going to the free throw line over 3 times a quarter when you play me. That just seemed like a lot. His usage rate is comically high, 38.9. Why is that, Zach Lowe?
Because Drew Holiday's missed a bunch of games and Chris Middleton's missed the entire season. And if he's not using up the possessions, it's like, all right, I guess Grayson Allen, you want to do some stuff for us? Marjan Beauchamp, you want to do some stuff for us? What else are you going to do? Joe Ingles, though. Joe Ingles has been helpful for them.
So Joe Ingles, there were some signs last night. First of all, he played crunch time. Second, when did he tear his knee? This feels like a fast comeback. It was less than a year ago, right?
In the age of everyone takes 6 months longer than people used to take to recover from every injury, which is, I'm not saying is a good or a bad thing. That just is what it is. Like Jamal Murray took a long time. Kawhi takes forever. That's just the way it is. We've learned science advances, knowledge advances. It is like a year ago. And maybe this is the benefit of not being that athletic to begin with. He looks like Joe Ingles. It just looks like, oh, Joe Ingles is back.
He didn't have any speed to lose. I was surprised. I thought the game last night was really good. Really, really, really entertaining. And at least the Knicks, we can debate the Mitchell stuff later, but at least the Knicks have reached a point now where the MSG games are fun. The crowd likes the team. They're competitive. They have a guy in crunch time who really has a lot of confidence. And what was one of the shocking things about the game was the Ingles and Giannis were kind of two-man gaming it. It was like, Ingles, you just showed up. You're already in now they don't have Middleton. When Middleton comes in, I'll be interested to see who the 5 is, how they use Ingles, stuff like that. But it goes to show, to your point, how desperate they were to have anybody who could create anything next to Giannis.
Well, Ingles has thrown, like, you don't realize, like, the Bucks are not a good passing team. And sometimes, like, just throwing an entry pass to Giannis is a freaking adventure for them. And then Ingles comes on, and you don't realize how much you're starving for a guy who can just, like, lob a pass to you in the middle of the lane when you slip a screen, or just thread an entry pass over a front or something like that, until he comes in and does it routinely. And you're like, oh my God, the Bucks have someone who can do this. It's like a miracle.
Yeah.
He might be a bigger part of their team than I thought. I thought they overpaid for him. I might end up being wrong on that.
Well, as somebody who was once a great entry passer, I can really identify the other great entry passers. And you're right, the Bucks had no entry passers, and this is the first one. There's some weird advanced stats with Giannis about all of his unassisted baskets and how bad the assist rate is in the Bucks and stuff like that. So Ingles will help with all that stuff. The Giannis thing. So the Bucks are 26-14. Giannis has played 40 games. He's been really, really, really like LeBron level durable over the course of his career, where it's just like, even when he gets hurt, it seems surprising, and you just assume he's going to get up, even if his leg is like next to the scorer's table. Just like, go get your leg, Giannis. He's had 4 straight first-team All-NBAs, and this year is going to be the 5th. And I'm starting to think of him big picture in that kind of like pantheon all-time, what are we watching context, where I had a friend of mine last week when everybody was going nuts about Luka and Jokic, including me on this podcast, say, like, watch Giannis these next couple of games. Like, Giannis sees all this stuff. And then, of course, Giannis has the big games in a row. This is now a half decade of him just wreaking havoc. And it doesn't feel like he's 27. I'm trying to figure out the trade value. He's clearly the number one. It doesn't feel like there's any sign of a finish line with this. How long does this go for you?
Well, he gets better every year. He's a better passer now than he was even last year. And like defensively, look, the Bucks have been bad on offense. It's like one of the sneaky big stories. They're 25th in offense, 25th. Like that means you're basically just better than the teams that are trying to lose if you're 25th. But on defense, there are entire stretches of the game when he and Lopez are in the game. It's like, what are you even supposed to do in the paint? Like, it's a complete no-fly zone with those guys around. His timing gets better and better. And why would there be a finish line? I just think, I remember we did before the season, I think we did something on like which of the current guys who made the top 75 had the most at stake this season. And you picked Durant. which I think is I thought you were going to pick Harden. You're like, nah, I gave up on Harden. He's not the number one guy on this team. You picked Durant, which I thought was a good pick. And I like kind of devil's advocately made the case for Giannis just because 2-time MVP, every chance at a ring is precious. Bucks are kind of sneaky, getting a little old around him. Middleton is a potential free agent this summer, has not really played this season. Like, that's a story that I guess everyone's just assuming he
got hurt last season. This is year 2 of him not standing on the court.
And you kind of were the first one to sound the alarm bells last week on your pod that, is there some frustration brewing within the Bucks, or is there some stuff going on? And I think it's more just frustration with people's health and availability and losing and like normal NBA, like doldrums, frustration stuff. But like, I think you hit on something, and it's not something we've really ever heard with the Bucks before. This is like, happy-go-lucky, the Bucks, Milwaukee, it's fun. They're 17-14 since starting 9-0, and just they need to get Middleton back and see what they have on offense, because they just haven't looked kind of the same. And that, to your point about Giannis's efficiency, like, he's amazing, but this is not a peak Giannis offensive year, really.
All the Bucks fans got mad at me. It was like a 9-second throwaway where I was like, hearing some...
You know why, though?
Hearing it's not the good ship lollipop over there, which, by the way, you've heard and we've all heard. And like a day after I said it, they blew a 12-point lead to, who was it, Atlanta, with a minute and 10 seconds left. It's like, this is not the kind of thing that happens to a team that is like running on all cylinders. Sorry.
That's why it's funny, it's a dumb game halfway through the season. I thought that win against the Knicks last night was important for them because they were down 17 in that game. They had everybody but Middleton, basically. They had just lost to Charlotte by 29 points somehow on the road. And it just like, and if the Knicks just win that game going away, it begins to, all of a sudden it's like, oh, the Bucks, like, what's going on with the Bucks? Should we be worried about the Bucks? And they came back like, that was a real comeback win where the team decided like, yeah, we're gonna come out and play. We're gonna play hard. We're gonna play together. We're gonna try to win this game. But just watching it, I was like, this kind of feels like a good win for them. You wouldn't think mid-season at the Knicks is a big deal for the Bucks, but I was like, that's a good win.
Yeah, but they're in the season's so long. There's 7-8 inflection points where you kind of have a moment where you find out what kind of team you have. I thought the big thing for them is just Holiday was awesome in that game, especially down the stretch. And I loved watching him go at Brunson. I was kind of shocked Brunson was scoring on Holiday like that. I don't really have a lot of memories of people going at Holiday kind of one-on-one a lot and getting the shots they wanted off him. They like, how many times does that even happen? Chris Paul did it a little, but it's not not a usual thing. But I thought the Bucks, I was impressed. I felt the same way. You know how this goes because you're in the narrative game with the worldwide leader. Like, you have like 2 bad losses. It's a Tuesday. What's our first story going to be? And if there's some smoke, you kind of drift toward the smoke. And we were doing it with the Hawks with reason, because there's something like really wrong with that team, with the talent they have. And we've seen it all year. And then the stuff comes out. None of it was surprising. But with the Bucks, it was just, small, subtle signs. They're always on the clock with Giannis. I know he's signed with them, but, there's always going to be an inherent pressure to put a really good team around him. And he was doing a lot more than he usually does this year for 33, 34 minutes a game. Like, just the offensive workload he had was kind of stunning. Now, as you said, he's also evolving into the kind of player who can handle that workload, but 38.9 usage is really high. That's like Westbrook 2017 level high.
Well, and you were the first one to even mention the ownership situation there. And you did it like months before anybody else. And then like it went radio silent and everyone was like, whoa, that was weird that Bill said that. And then all of a sudden it comes out that like, there was some actual fire there. And like, that's a whole thing too. I picked them to win the title this season, and I've just been continuously in like, let me see their team mode, because Middleton is so important to their team. But they need him to get healthy and get stable, and Giannis needs him to get healthy and stabilize their offense like now.